1408 hours, South China Sea, 230 nautical miles west of Luzon. The sea was calm beneath a hazy horizon. Above it, a U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft cruised at 22,000 feet. Its mission, routine surveillance, map maritime traffic, verify radar contact reports. Below, commercial tankers moved slowly, but one vessel stood out, a large angular silhouette, unmistakable on radar. The Chinese Type-055 Renhai-class destroyer, one of the most advanced warships in the world. Designation received, Plan Nanchang. Everything was quiet until it wasn't. 1411 hours, first contact. The P-8 transmitted a routine identification protocol. People's Liberation Army Navy vessel, this is United States Navy aircraft conducting lawful operations in international airspace. No response. Instead, the destroyer altered course, turning slowly to match the P-8's heading. Sensors aboard the aircraft detected a radar illumination spike. Not a lock, but a track request. The first sign the encounter was no longer routine. 1416 hours, the laser. Without radio warning, the P-8's onboard systems detected something far more serious, a directed laser energy burst. Wavelength, Class 3B military-grade targeting laser. Source, confirmed, Type-055 destroyer deck system. Inside the cockpit, audible alarms chimed. Laser exposure detected. Shield protocol enabled. The pilots lowered protective visors as sensors recorded heat bloom across the P-8's optical housing. This wasn't random, it was intentional. A signal, a warning, or something more. 1418 hours. U.S. crew response. The pilot transmitted, unidentified planned destroyer, you are engaging unsafe laser activity. Cease immediately. Static. No verbal reply, but a second laser pulse followed. Shorter, more precise, targeting the aircraft's forward infrared turret, the same system responsible for surveillance imaging. The destroyer wasn't trying to blind the crew, it was trying to blind the aircraft. 1421 hours. Naval Intelligence Alert. U.S. Pacific Command received the automated alert. A single line appeared in encrypted communications. Directed energy aggression recorded. Tracking event. Electronic warfare analysts began streaming live telemetry. The Type-055 wasn't acting independently. It was transmitting data. Someone was watching. 1425 hours. The unexpected maneuver. The destroyer reduced speed, then sharply accelerated. Its course shifted directly beneath the aircraft, positioning itself under the P-8's flight path like a chess move. Then, for the first time, radio silence broke. A calm voice, speaking English with a Mandarin accent, U.S. aircraft, you are entering a restricted military security zone. Leave immediately. The pilot responded, negative. This is international airspace. A pause. Then, not anymore. 1429 hours. Electronic interference. The P-8's ESM, electronic support measures, system detected a new anomaly, a broadband signal sweep. Scanning, probing, mapping frequencies. Not jamming, not cyber attack, electronic fingerprinting. The destroyer was identifying every system aboard the U.S. aircraft, from radar modes to communications bandwidth, a complete signature capture. Something navies attempt, but rarely so openly. 1434 hours. Second laser event. A third laser activation occurred. This one wasn't a warning shot. It targeted the P-8's synthetic aperture radar housing, the aircraft's primary intelligence tool. Heat levels spiked. The system auto-calibrated and shut down to avoid damage. For the first time, the aircraft was partially blinded. The Chinese destroyer had successfully degraded one of the most advanced surveillance platforms in the U.S. arsenal. 1437 hours, U.S. strategic decision. The pilot requested escalation. Command, permission to broadcast deterrence pattern. Command responded, negative. Hold course, continue observation. This wasn't a battlefield. It was a test. 1442 hours, the unexpected signal. Suddenly, the destroyer stopped all transmissions. No radar, no laser, no communication, just silence. Moments later, the Poseidon detected a faint, low-frequency underwater acoustic signal. It wasn't coming from the destroyer. It was coming from beneath it. A second vessel, unseen, a submarine, and not just any submarine. Acoustic signature matched Plan Type-055 nuclear attack submarine, unannounced. The pilots exchanged a look. The destroyer wasn't acting alone. This was a coordinated maneuver, a trap, or a message. The U.S. aircraft maintained altitude. The Chinese destroyer held position. The submarine waited in silence. 3 assets in one location, none backing down. But the most unusual part was still ahead. The submarine sent a short, encrypted acoustic signal, not to the destroyer, to the U.S. aircraft. A message no one expected, and no one could explain. 1443 hours. Immediate confusion. Inside the cockpit, both U.S. aviators stared at the acoustic telemetry indicator. The signal repeating beneath them wasn't static, it was structured. 3 pulses, a pause, then 5 pulses, then 2. Not random, not environmental, a deliberate frequency. The pilot whispered, "It's not meant for their destroyer, it's meant for us." The co-pilot nodded, expression tightening. This was no longer normal interception behavior. Something else was playing out. 1445 hours. Naval intelligence processing. The encrypted acoustic burst was automatically transmitted to U.S. Pacific Command. AI decryption models ran through coded naval languages: Russian, Chinese, Korean, NATO signals, nothing matched. Then one analyst noticed something familiar. It wasn't a language, it was coordinate formatting. 3 numbers, separated intentionally: latitude, longitude, depth. The destroyer's lasers weren't the real message, they were a distraction. The submarine wanted the U.S. aircraft to record the signal, and it had. 1448 hours. Submarine movement. The Type 055 submarine shifted position, slowly ascending, maintaining silence, not fleeing, positioning. Its new location placed it between the P-8 and the destroyer, cutting off any theoretical torpedo trajectory. It was now acting as a shield, protecting something or someone. 1452 hours. The meaning of the coordinates. The decoding team finished running the numbers. The coordinates pointed to a location in the Philippine Sea, nearly 314 nautical miles east of Taiwan. The depth value was precise: 4,893 meters. Deep ocean territory. No known structures, no military bases, nothing on satellite. The U.S. Navy intelligence chief read the decoded line aloud: location reference, submerged asset, status compromised. But the strangest part wasn't the wording, it was the metadata. The signal carried U.S. formatting standards, not Chinese, not Russian. Something at those coordinates used U.S. communications architecture. 1457 hours. Command decision. The order finally arrived: do not engage. Maintain surveillance. Document all transmissions. There would be no escalation, but there would also be no retreat. The encounter was now an intelligence exchange, a silent negotiation. 1503 hours. Second transmission. The acoustic signal repeated, but this time with a final additional burst. 4 short pulses, followed by 1 long pulse. That pattern was unmistakable. Every submarine officer in the world would recognize it. It meant not hostile. This wasn't a threat, it was a handoff. A signal deliberately engineered to be interpreted by both Chinese and U.S. naval protocols. 1507 hours and the destroyer responds. The Type 055 destroyer activated a new system. Not radar, not laser, but something rarely used openly: low-power quantum frequency modulation, a modern electronic warfare tool designed to send encrypted information to satellites while jamming attempts to intercept. For 17 seconds, both the destroyer and submarine went silent. Then the destroyer broadcast a brief radio transmission: U.S. aircraft. This encounter ends now. The tone was calm, not aggressive, almost administrative. 1511 hours. The turn. Without further warning, both Chinese vessels changed course simultaneously. The destroyer accelerated to flank speed, turning away from the U.S. aircraft. Meanwhile, the submarine began to descend, slowly disappearing back into the deep ocean. The standoff, one that could have escalated into international crisis, was dissolving. No missiles fired, no jets scrambled, no counterstrike authorized, just silence. 1522 hours. After action protocol. The P-8 resumed its flight path, but under strict coded instructions. No aggressive maneuvers, no additional transmissions, no lower altitude passes. "We're done here," the pilot muttered, but both men knew the real mission had just begun. 1748 hours. U.S. Naval Intelligence Briefing. Hours later, in a secure conference room in Pearl Harbor, analysts reviewed the acoustic coordinates. The room fell silent when the historical overlay loaded. At those exact coordinates, 6 months earlier, the U.S. Navy lost contact with a classified experimental deep-sea platform, officially designated as an autonomous subsea sensor array. Unofficially, it was something far more advanced: a prototype underwater surveillance drone capable of tracking submarines in real time across the Pacific. Codename: Neptune Ghost. It wasn't supposed to be active, it wasn't supposed to be locatable, and no one knew where it disappeared until today. 1802 hours. the unanswered question. If China had found the missing US platform, they could have publicized it, weaponized it, reverse engineered it, or used it as leverage, but they didn't. Instead, they alerted the US privately under the guise of aggression. Why? A senior intelligence officer summarized the room's unanswered thought. Either they're warning us something else found it, or they're asking us to retrieve it before someone else does. The acoustic message, once decoded at deeper levels, revealed one final phrase: not alone. 22:10 hours. The encounter was formally recorded as non-kinetic hostile engagement, strategic communication overlay, meaning no shots fired, but a message was delivered, a message the world was not meant to hear. The following morning, satellites detected movement near the coordinates. Not US ships, not Chinese ships. A third unidentified vessel, without AIS, without national markings, operating directly above the specified point. Neither nation acknowledged it, neither nation approached. Both sides watched, silently, because now one question overshadowed everything. If neither China nor the United States recovered Neptune Ghost, then who did?